Hello and welcome to the 57th episode of the Saints Prime podcast. It's with me, Ollie. I'm also joined with
Harry,
Jamie, Allen,
and
Mikey.
a beautiful Jamie today. There we go.
Thanks,
We're going to look at the Spurs game, but we've got plenty to come up. We're going to do a little question for Tiz. We're going to have a question sent in that we'll go through. Mikey's got transfer roundup. We'll also have a look at press conferences, anything to report there, and then we'll go into our own Spurs preview afterwards as well. So first Tiz, if you can give us a little question, we'll reveal the answer at the end of the episode. So if you can give us that question.
So it was the screen's messed up. It was March 2005, and the last time that we beat Tottenham at our place, apart from a few years ago, the score was 1-0. But who were the three English outfield players that played for us on that day?
Okay, so then what was that again? 2005.
The year 2005, we beat Tottenham 1-0. Who were the three English outfield players in the team that day?
So the question is that in the Premier League or is that in the
that is indeed in the Premiership in 2005, 5th of March 2005, as Jamie searches it up.
Okay, stick around to the end. Jamie will probably give us the answer, and we'll have a look at the answer. If you can't be like Jamie and don't search it, have a look at the end, and I'm guessing Jamie will probably reveal the answer. But question done. We're going to go into questions sent in from you guys now. So Tiz, if you can let us know who sent them in and what they want to ask.
Indeed. So we first got Southampton News now. You love his questions, as always. Would you rather have Yannick Vestergaard's hair before he cuts it or Romeu's hair? That is the question from Southampton News now today.
I mean, I loved Vestergaard's hair before he cut it. So
I love Romeu's hair when it was when he first signed for us. I remember that beautiful lock.
Are we talking mohawk? Or are we talking buzz cut?
I think his current hair. His current hair. His current hair. So would you rather be Bowles or like Thor in hair wise?
It's got to be Thor, isn't it? That
beautiful blonde
long locks. Yeah. I mean, come on. That for me, that's a no-brainer. You've got to go for it. If you can get, people pay to have that good hair. I think
girls do pay for that hair, Ollie. I can guarantee you that now, mate.
Yeah, they go. They say, "Can I have a Yannick Vestergaard, please?" That's just what
I did hear that. That is what they say.
Yeah.
So, we all saying Yannick.
I'm saying it. Anyone
saying Yannick Vestergaard?
Decent.
I'd probably say Yannick. So next we've got Dan Hurst 96. Would you offer Shane? Would you offer Shane Long a new contract? Brackets. Mikey's opinion doesn't count on this question. Sorry.
Oh my God!
No. Did it actually say that?
It does actually say that.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't.
It does. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I put it on the group chat. It does indeed say that.
Oh, love you, Dan. Good question, Ollie. How would you answer that?
Oh, okay, switching around. How do I answer that? Would I offer Shane Long a contract? Unless we find a viable option in the summer transfer window that can fulfil his purposes that he brings to the team, then I think it's probably worth maybe offering him another year contract just to kind of bolster the squad. But he acts as a target man, and I think he's a valuable member to the squad. What do you reckon then, Jambo?
The thing is, yes, I kind of agree with you. If we can't get anyone else to replace him, obviously we're not going to let him go, then re-sign him. But if we don't have anyone lined up to come in to replace him, because I know we have Che Adams, but we need that person who don't mind sitting on the bench for a while and coming to prove their point. But it all depends if we have someone set up to come and play for us, but I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe, like I said, maybe 2 years I'll push, as he's only 33.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I'd be happy. Do you think he would take a year-long extension? Though, if we gave him just a 1 year, do you think he would?
I think he would probably take it. He likes the club. I think his family are settled here as well. I don't think why he wouldn't stay another year, unless because realistically he's not going to get another chance this late in his career at Premier League football.
Yeah, I could see him possibly coming up with maybe a championship side, maybe going to there where the pace is a bit slower, but he's.
I get that, but I think he's still quite fast, and he's ambitious, so he probably will want to play in the Premier League for at least a season longer.
Okay, so we've held it back, but Mikey, go on, mate, give us your opinion. I know Dan didn't ask for it, but
I mean, of course I'll get him on because I think he's an integral part of the team. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Right, so next is Dan Hurst.
Dan
Hurst 96 once again. Are you scared of Ings getting a call up for England because our physio knows how to look after him? So he's saying that maybe at England they don't know how to look after him. So are you scared that he might get an England call up?
I've said before that I'm a bit concerned when our players do get called up for England, just because of injury concerns. Plus, it raises the awareness of the player. But you want to see your player playing for England as well. And they're going to have, you think the amount of millions that are in that squad, they're going to have good enough physios to look after them. It's just whether the actual wear and tear of playing it. So for me, I think the physio side of it won't be too much of an issue. It's that extra playing time and that elite level that they're playing at. But hey, that's just me. Your guys' thoughts? Someone?
I thought Mikey was going to go, but I would love to see Danny Ings play for England again. He does deserve it. He's played so well, worked so hard this season, especially keeping away the injuries. He's properly looking after himself. And he's fallen in love with football again, like he said himself. So why would you not want to see that man in the England shirt? I don't know why.
No.
Apart from injuries, obviously, the main reason. But anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
I think what we could do is what we did with Luke Shaw to Man United, which they didn't follow, is just write a page of notes about what to do with him, what not to do with him, what you allow him to do. Be
let him
like
eat
sort
his
of
shit
parents going away on like a holiday or something like that. Just do this, don't let him do that.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
It's also
I'd love to see
babysitter,
that.
isn't it?
Well,
Yeah.
and the thing is, well, who else is out there? You think Abraham's injured, Rashford's injured, Kane's injured, Vardy's retired and is injured. Who else is there out there apart from Danny Ings to take that number 9 shirt?
How long is Abraham out for, out of curiosity?
Isn't it like a month or so? I don't know. I haven't heard how long he's out for.
But even so, if they are out, it's going to take them a while, and you don't know whether they're going to hit back into that fitness that they had originally and that form as well. So if you look at it and say Danny Ings is the top England scorer by the time he gets to the Euros, you'd be stupid not to have a look at him to play. And it's rumoured that next transfer window, international break, he's probably going to get a call up.
It's an ankle injury as well, so you don't know how long that. I know Cedric is only 3 weeks, but I don't know how long, because ankle injuries can be 2-3 months if they're horrible. So yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
Right, so the last one from Dan Hurst 96 is, apart from the Saints badge, who has the best badge in the Prem? What badge do you like in the Premiership? Or actually, I'll branch it out. What badge do you just like in football? Just overall, what badge do you look at and you think, that's a class badge?
Pompey.
What?
Only joking, boys. Only joking.
Brilliant.
God, you have me
I
worried
quite like the Arsenal badge, to be honest with you.
Arsenal badge, okay.
Yeah, the older one, though. Not right.
Yeah,
It's
okay.
completely on the question, but everyone knows what I mean by that old Arsenal badge.
Hmm.
It's a nice classic English football badge. It looks lush.
I'm not sure. I really like the Barcelona one. I think it's such a nice, recognisable symbol. I think that it looks really nice. Anyone else?
The Palace one, because it's just different. It's not like a
that's
proper
true.
emblem or circle or something like that. It's just quite a nice.
It's true.
badge.
I liked Leeds' badge that they're going to have, but then they scrapped. That was a good badge.
Yeah, that was
a
it.
good
They should have
badge.
kept that one.
Yeah. I also quite like the fact that Man City kind of stripped back their badge as well and made it a little bit more traditional.
Oh,
so
yeah.
I quite like. I don't particularly like it that much, but I like the idea of them doing that. So I quite like the sentiment behind it and that though. So not the fact that I necessarily like it, but the fact that the idea that was behind it, I think was quite nice. So maybe a little bit of a curveball there as well.
All right. So who do we have next? We've got Jojo_Cadziola. Should we take Lamina back or sell him to Galatasaray? Keep or sell Lamina is the question.
That's a silly question. Obviously, so his attitude stinks. To be honest with you.
Yeah, Jojo, you're silly for even asking that question. according to
God,
Jojo.
sort it
I
out.
don't know. I don't really like Mario Lamina's attitude. I think he has the ability to be a very good player. Just lacks that mental strength to actually apply that on the pitch, as he thinks he's too big for himself. I think playing a league like the Turkish division he's in really is probably the best place for him because there's not really much competition out there realistically. So yeah, actually it acts like he is the best player there, and I think that's good. Well, not good for him, but probably likes the fact that he's a big name.
Would you not even give him a pre-season, Jambo? Or would he go straight away as soon as you could?
I mean, he's had a pre-season this season. last season, Ollie. He was
Yeah,
there,
but
and he didn't really get into the team.
now
Ralph
there's
did
a
obviously the right thing.
defined tactic now. I mean, we were starting off with 5 at the backs going away, and now we're pretty concise in the 4-2-2 formation. So now most of the other players now know the system, and he would know his defined role a lot more. Would you give him a chance learning that position to play, or is he
do
already
you want
had
to drop Ward-Prowse and Højbjerg then?
I'm not saying in the actual start of the season. I'm saying in pre-season he could be tried in that position.
I don't think he's got a place in the squad, to be honest, because like I said, Pierre and Prowse have that place in centre mid, and we already have backup like in Slattery, for example, and Romeo. I guess say Romeo's older than him, obviously, but if Romeo left, then maybe if he's willing to stay on the bench for a bit of season, then yeah, but I don't see that happening.
Fair play. You guys' thoughts?
Putting all like opinions aside, Lamina would be the perfect midfielder for this system.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
He would be, because he's got that tough tackling, ball-winning midfielder. He's brilliant on the ball. He can play that ball around. He would be the perfect midfielder for Ralph. It's whether he has the attitude to actually do it. Because I can see if we get European football by the end of the season, I can see him wanting to come back.
Yeah,
because that's what he wants. He wants to play in Europe, and I would have him in midfield over Ward-Prowse and Højbjerg, just because of his ability. But it's whether he wants to work for the side, and whether he actually wants to work as a team instead of as an individual.
Yeah, that's such a good shout, to be fair. The fact that if we do go to European football, then that's probably the best that he's going to get, even if he jumped ship. So he probably would suddenly have a renewed interest with us. So yeah, it's a brilliant point. Tiz, do you want to weigh in?
For me, I just feel it's the fact that Lamine could possibly be a bad egg in the squad. That's why him and Wesley Hoyt got chucked out without even having a chance, to be honest with you. So I feel it's better that he moves on for both us, him, and just the club in general.
Yeah, fair play. Is there any other questions that we need to go through? Any
what else do we have? Most of the other ones, you've got Southampton Chile says just massy cash. J. Bouncing talks about centre backs and improvement. And JFB_Saints_1222 says, what do you think of Vestergaard? I just hear a podcast, they're great, so please mention me. So we'll just move into the transfer overall, because last time I talked about things like that, a certain person wasn't very happy. So we're just going to hand it straight over to Mikey Maisman with the transfer news.
So mentioned Matty Cash. He's been rumoured to be on the move from Nottingham Forest. He's been linked with us and AC Milan.
Why wouldn't he want to move to us when Milan are in?
Which is an interesting one, but he's a right back, 22-year-old, again from the Championship, which Ralph seems to like buying from.
Yeah.
Again, backup right back, maybe first choice. Is that something you think we'd be looking into?
Possibly. Yeah. I mean, you look at him, you think that with a Championship player, they want to prove themselves, and the idea behind Che is that if he doesn't make a direct impact, he's not going to kick up a fuss. You saw in January he was moved for targeting away, but Ralph said things in his press conference. I'll leave that to Mikey to talk about later. But no players have been asking to move away. They still want to prove themselves, and the results have only helped with that. So going for a Championship player may not be a bad decision, because the wages aren't going to be a big step up, and they're not going to immediately want to jump ship if they don't get that playing time. So it's a sensible way to look, and that's how we've kind of conducted our transfers previously as well. So yeah, for me, it makes sense.
We've obviously been linked with him and Carl Walker-Peters this window too, and those two transfers are looking more and more likely to happen at some point because of Cedric's injury. We've also been linked with Joe Bryan, who I think we mentioned last week too, back from Fulham, but the rumours have sort of died down from that. There's not a lot there. Away from the club, Vestergaard's been linked with a £15 million move to Leicester City.
Leicester, yeah. Interesting.
Again, opinions on that?
Well, to be honest with you, I would personally take it just to get some of the money back we paid for him. I don't necessarily think it's a true, to be completely honest with you. I don't really see why Leicester would want him necessarily, but I'd take it if it is true, as long as we have someone to come in to sit on the bench for us.
Well, it was a Sun exclusive, so the doubt's in your mind immediately.
Take that as you will, yeah.
There was a Daily Echo reporter that did come out and verify it, so there is weight behind it. It's whether it actually goes through and they make it a viable option. There's a couple of injuries and things that came up in the press conference, so We'll come back around to that when that comes. But my opinions on Vestergaard. I mean, I wasn't too sure on it. I put on Twitter to ask other people's opinions and see what they thought. We got a couple back. A lot of people quite happy to sell because it's a centre back off the wage books. But at the moment, we're quite light on the ground with centre backs. So, if we needed him and then possibly in summer, Leicester are still interested. However, I think it's to try and boost their frailties that they have at the moment in centre back. So it's that judgment whether we really need him now or if it's better for long-term judgment to get him off the wage books. But yeah.
At Dan Sheldon Sport on Twitter, Leicester have made the inquiry. The report's saying it's £15 million, but we want to recruit as much of the £18 million we spent on him. 2018, and also he's seen as a useful backup, and the club doesn't need to sell. So that makes it think that we're probably not going to sell him this window. We'll look into maybe selling him next window, but I think it'll be interesting to see if Bednarek's out for Tottenham. Maybe Vestergaard starts again, see how he does against the Spurs side too, because I thought he played quite well against Palace.
Yeah.
Oriol Romeu, obviously he was linked with Celta Vigo last week, but that sort of died down again. He's not moving. And Ryan Bertrand was linked to Leicester and Chelsea throughout the week, but again that sort of died down too because Brendan Rodgers said that they weren't going to get rid of Ben Chilwell. So that was pretty much all there was for transfers. Did anyone else hear anything else over the week?
I was about to say, if the Matty Cash deal does go through, I did buy him my career mode at least a few years ago, so he has got good potential.
Brilliant.
If you're a long-time listener to the podcast, you know about my career mode signings.
God. Yeah, unfortunately they do, JV. Yeah. I was gonna ask. Everyone else has their hands in their head in their hands. I was gonna ask the potential movement of Vestergaard. I know they said that we don't have to sell, but if that would allow the possibility of us to purchase a fullback, would that be a good move for us? I know we are quite light as a centre backs, but if it did free up 15 million, that probably would cover most of the targets we've been, linked with. Really, 15 million is probably the max we're looking at. So
most certainly, I don't think we'll get more money for Vestergaard either in the summer. I think 15 million. I can't see a team bidding that higher than that. When multiple sources are saying the same fee, that puts some backing behind it. So I think 15 million, and we could probably pay Matty Cash for that as well. So I'd most certainly take it, especially because we've got backup centre backs as well.
I just think the funny thing is, I know my favourite website, whoscored.com, they've actually rated Yannick Vestergaard as our best centre back this season.
Interesting.
Both Stevens and Bednarek. So I just find that interesting that statistically Vestergaard is the best one, but maybe not at the moment in the partnership that we've got.
It's interesting to see what will actually happen in that area.
Well, one thing, this is a bit of a drastic call. Let's say we did sell him. There's always an option to recall Wesley Hoyt from his loan if things do go to worse. Things do go bad.
Do we have the option of a recall though? That's the problem.
I think Wesley Hoyt's done with the club.
It's just an option though. It could possibly, if that is the case.
And also,
I think Hoyt's pretty much done with the club at the moment, especially with the interview that came out over Christmas. Thing. And I think also, I think the fan base are done with Wesley Hoyt. So I think they'd much prefer to see a player like Christoph Clara. I know he's gone out on loan, but a player such as Christoph Clara in the youth setup been given their chance instead, or maybe give Yoshida till the end of the season and try and see if he'll prove to get a contract. By the end of the season.
Fair enough. Right, any other thoughts on transfers before we go into press conferences?
Actually, what do you think? Would have you accepted the 20 million if Leeds got promoted clause, or are you happy that they've rejected that? Because that's profit if Leeds go up and Leeds are in a good. That's in a good situation at the moment.
You're referring to the Che Adams deal, right? So it's been rejected for a third time, according to BBC and Sky Sports. So it's pretty verified that Saints have received 3 bids for Che Adams, and we've pretty much said no to all of them. Almost getting to the point now where the club are confused. I know there's Daily Echo reporter saying that the club are quite baffled in the reason that why they've had to reject 3 bids for it now. Their latest instalments in the bids included a £20 million
mandatory
fee. Yeah, if Leeds did secure promotion. So
I'll take that 100%.
really,
Sounds, obviously it's a good profit margin. Plus, basically, good chance for him we get 20 million and we can get another striker, and it just gives a chance for Che Adams to actually have a chance in the Premier League, maybe a fresh start for the player.
Well, Ralph said in his press conference that he recognises that players are interested in other clubs, but he's not playing at the moment, but he recognises his importance to the team as well. So basically, Ralph doesn't want Che Adams to be sold. So I don't think he's going to go.
I think
we get a ridiculous bid for him.
I know he hasn't got. I know he hasn't got off the mark yet, but I think it'd be so disappointing to see a player leave straight away just for a bit of profit. Like I think he has a lot to prove, and you can see there is a Moulding's a good player there. And fingers crossed, if he can keep going, he can prove his importance to the side. I mean, how excited were us guys? You can listen back to like episode 7 or 8 when we were saying get it across the line because we're really excited for him to come in. And yeah, you just in that confidence in getting those goals, and then I think he would be the Mouldings of a very good player. And the difficulty again, how many players or how many sides say they need a new striker in, just brings that price up, and you're looking at 20-30 million to get an established striker in. I think it's better to take the chance, and there'll always be a championship side there, I think, sniffing around if it doesn't work out, 6 months, a year later.
I think you also look at, with our Wolves preview, the lad that we were talking to, can't quite remember his name, but he was talking about Patrick Cutrone and how he's left after 6 months and how disappointing it is that the club has spent this money on this player and they've already given up on him. I don't think we're that sort of club that we give up on players really quickly. We do give players a chance even if they haven't performed straight away. So hopefully Che Adams does get his chance. He might start against Tottenham on the weekend, but we can talk about that later. And yeah, it would be quite nice to see him get given his chance if he could. Yeah.
I think it's just a massive. I think it'll help him because I think that's a massive vote of confidence that a striker that hasn't scored in 6 months, we've got given guaranteed profit if Leeds go up, which they should, and we've still rejected it. I think if anything's going to give him confidence that we've got faith in him, I think that most certainly will do.
Yeah. Very true. Right, okay, so you hinted towards press conferences, Mike. Can you give us the in-depth of what happened today in the press conference?
So we're up again with 3 players are out for the Spurs game. Cedric, of course, he got quite a hefty challenge from Jara Riedeveld. He's out for 3 weeks with ligament damage in his knee. Yannick Vestergaard has got a concussion, so he won't start against Tottenham on the weekend, and Shane Long has a knock on his knee, which probably proved why he missed that one-on-one. They also talked about him managing Danny Ings and saying that you sort of look at Harry Kane, Rashford, Tammy Abraham, and how those have not been managed over the Christmas period. We've managed Danny Ings, and he's currently the only one fit out of the 4 of them. So it just shows how good the physios have done, how good the coaching staff has done to actually manage Danny Ings through this period. He also talked about his substitutions and how he would usually sub off the front 4 over everyone else in the team because they do the most running. So that will increase their chance of injury. Again, talking about Che Adams. And that no one is knocking at his office saying that they want to leave. Everyone in the squad wants to be there. They're all quite happy there, even when they're not playing. They're liking it. Carl Walker-Peters was brought up, but he said that loans don't appeal to him, especially in the January, because it takes more than a month for them to learn the system. If you've got until the end of the year, he's only here for 4 months, so he's useless for that first month. So he's only there for 3/4 of being useful. Apart from that, is just he commented on how well Armstrong's done to adapt to a right winger role, and saying that he likes players to be open-minded like Armstrong has been, and he called the wingers 10s, which usually refer to attacking midfielders. So that's quite interesting about how he sees them shaping up in a formation. And he said about he would like to go far in the FA Cup. He said it's a nice trophy, so that usually refers to it that he wants to go far, try and win it. And he said it's a little bit too early to speak about Liverpool. Apart from that, that was pretty much the entire press conference.
Do you believe that Cedric will only be out for 3 weeks? Because a ligament injury, wherever it is normally more serious than 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Well, it depends how much damage to the ligament there is, because it looked like a hefty challenge, but because the impact wasn't fully on his knee, it didn't look like it looked more of an ankle than a knee. So, like, because there wasn't a lot of impact on his knee, probably wasn't too much severity to it.
Yeah.
So that's why 3 weeks is probably right. But I'd say it's the 3 weeks Jan Valery has got to try and get his place in the system again.
Yeah.
He has to prove that he's better than Cedric, because in all fairness, Cedric has done very, very well over the Christmas period to establish his place, and it's going to be very hard to get him out of it.
And do you think we'll see a replacement player coming in, so possibly a centre-back like Stevens coming across, or is Valery going to be pushed to try and get near the first team as soon as possible to get a natural right-back in that position?
Well, you saw Ward-Prowse play at right back,
Yeah.
and I know Højbjerg's played at left back too, so he could maybe do a job at right back as well. But the one that I'd like to see, I don't know if he's quite ready yet, but maybe in the Cup, see Kane Ramsey be given his chance at right back, because he did play against Man City at centre back last season. And I would like to see him step up, be given a chance in the first team, especially in the FA Cup. It's a one-off game, anything can happen.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see Kane Ramsey be given a chance.
Yeah.
I think he would have been given the chance at Huddersfield if he was ready. I don't think he's ready yet. That's why he hasn't played yet.
Yeah.
In my opinion, through what I'd love to see him, but I don't think it will be there. And I think it probably will be Ward-Prowse or maybe Yoshida slotting into that right back role.
Jamie, you're rubbing your chin. What do you reckon? What's going to happen?
If he wasn't ready, Harry, why did he play against Man City then? Or just
That was about a year ago, and quite clearly from that performance, we haven't seen him since. So he probably thought he's a bit out of his depth here, and that's why he's not played again.
But he did play at centre back, so it's a little bit.
True, but you would have thought he would have played either the Carabao Cup or the FA Cup so far this season against small oppositions. Chucking him in against Tottenham. That's a bit of a far stretch in my opinion.
Fair enough.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay. To
the first team.
Anything else that jumps out at you from that press conference? One thing that I found quite interesting, I know you kind of said it just off the shoulder, but when you said, Mikey, about them playing number 10s, do you reckon that's a little bit of an insight into how the actual those wingers actually operate? Because one thing I noticed is when the wingers, or I guess it's more the wing backs really, kind of push up, do you reckon it means that those players kind of come into that inside, so the winger comes up and then that player possibly comes on the inside? Because we know both Armstrong and Redmond can kind of play down the middle as well as down the side, and both the goals that came against Palace both came from a central position. Is that a possible tactic that they're looking at, that using the wing backs as the width with a player floating inside into that space that we know there is with a 4-2-2?
Well, yeah, I think I looked at how Salzburg played Leipzig played.
Yeah.
When he was over there, and they did play like Emilio Forsberg was very good at like cutting inside and being that central role. And I think it has showed against Palace that Armstrong floats inside, and I think one of his chances he got into the left hand side, which is completely opposite to where he is. So I think that front four is quite free flowing.
Yeah.
How they move and how they play, and that's why it's difficult to play against. And that's I think Cedric and Bertrand are two very good wing backs. They've both got good crosses on them. They both get forward well. So yeah, I think we've got quite a good squad for this system. I think that's why it's working well.
Yeah. What do you reckon, Jamie, with that? Because when I first saw the 4-2-2, I saw that big space in the middle, and that caused for concern for me. When I first saw it, I was thinking we could get caught out here. However, what it's acting as space for those strikers to move and be fluid with each other in that position. How do you think that's operated in our successes so far?
It's a really tough one, because, like we said at the start of the season, I don't understand where. I know we changed formation in the whole. It's a tough one to answer, because I think with the hole in the middle, I always get very scared when we do go on attack and counter-attacking, because it shows we do concede goals when we get a counter-attacking football against us. Because I am always wary, because I do trust Ward-Prowse, but where he's been changing positions the whole time, he's not necessarily. I guess he has improved to centre mid. I still have those worries in my mind. It's like Mikey said a few minutes ago, where Marion Mid would be the perfect player for that position, where he can do those moves. I don't see Ward-Prowse being able to do that every game, even though he's doing very well at the moment.
Wait, when you talk about movements, which movements are you? Because he's playing in more of a double pivot defensive midfield in front of that defence. What specific movements are you kind of talking about?
I don't know. To be honest, it's just I portray myself as a very optimistic Southampton supporter. However, I'm always very wary of players in the team, like Ward-Prowse, as he is known for his inconsistency.
But he's been playing really well so far, hasn't he?
I know, but it just scares me the fact he could switch off like that, which he has done in the past.
But I think he has reached a part of maturity, and you know, like he's been performing really well in that defensive position, and where the space is in that position defensively, we're using that press, and the space we're giving them is further back in the pitch and allows for us to kind of surround those players in the press. And I think Ward-Prowse has finally found a very good position that he's in. He's comfortable on the ball, but now what he's done is he's sturdier in the challenges, and he's much more of a impactful player when he's closing down. Whereas I think on the wings he didn't really have the pace for it, and he had a good stint in attacking midfield as well. But I think he has really kind of found his craft in that defensive midfield as well. So yeah,
fair enough.
I think what it felt like, so under Puel, Pellegrino and Hughes, we were sort of trying to defend teams and not let teams score. Under Ralph, it feels like we're trying to outscore teams. I think that's proven because the amount of goals that we've scored since Ralph's come in compared to when Hughes was in charge is like, it feels like a massive change. Even when we're losing games, we're losing 3-2. So we're still scoring goals, we're still creating chances. And to be fair, for that Wolves game, we should have put it to bed with the chances that we had. Shane Long should have scored a hat-trick, really. Redmond hit the crossbar. There were lots of different, there were chances that we could put to bed. Well, under Hughes, it didn't feel like we had those chances to put away. So I think that's the difference, is that even the games that we're losing, we have the chances to win them. While under Hughes, sometimes we wouldn't even have a chance throughout a game.
Yeah.
So we're just trying to outscore teams now instead of trying to defend leads.
It's very true. Very true. And now moving into the kind of go on, Tiz. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, you know, when you're talking about having two number 10s, if you say you split the pitch into 3/3, in the sort of the left wing's the left, the right wing's the left wing's the first, the right wing's the third, and the middle is the second. Our midfielders, our wingers, are sort of obtaining that second third just outside the box, whereas a lot of wingers, they only get into that second third when they're inside the box. They hit their first and thirds when they're running down the wings, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
so our
what you're
wingers
saying
are
is
obtaining number 10 roles, whereas if you see players like Zaha, they only hit that middle third when they're in the box, whereas Redmond and Stuart Armstrong, most of the time that they're in that second third in the middle is outside the box.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you split the pitch into 3 horizontal rather than 3 vertical ones, as you would do. So I think it's very interesting, because if you saw a player go up, so for instance, we're saying Bertrand's going down the wing, and we saw a lot of overlapping play between Bertrand and Redmond when Redmond operates on that left-hand side. You see Redmond kind of come in, as you know he can cut in on his right. That space opens up for Bertrand on the left, and you see a centre-back or a defensive midfielder move over into that position. So the pitch kind of shifts, and everyone kind of moves up one position. So the centre-back in the middle then goes to left-back. Next centre-back moves across, and the right-back moves across. Everyone slides and moves into position. And we're almost operating up and then sliding back. It's a really interesting approach. And if you can, if you can watch the game when you can, just watch the different positions players move in. It's probably because why Ralph's system is so demanding, because you've got to be fluid in different formations. You know, if Stevens or Vestergaard is playing left centre back and they have to cover in left back, that's probably why the system falls down, because they're not quite comfortable in that position. And where we've also been exploited as well. You look like Traore, he went past Bednarak down the left because Bednarak's fulfilled in that left back position. Bertrand's gone up, and the role of Bednarak is for him to go over and almost cover in left back. And he got beaten by Traore, and the ball got in the box and left Cedric almost stranded. So it's not without its faults, but it's a very interesting and, you've got to say, successful approach so far, tactically.
The tactic works when no one makes mistakes, and the problem the problem with the Wolves game was that Ward-Prowse and Højbjerg were caught too many times, like high up the pitch, and that meant that we were 2-on-3 for pretty much the entirety of the game. They had 3 attackers and we had 2 defenders. That's how we kept being caught out. We didn't have a defensive midfielder back there just holding. I think that's what Højbjerg or Ward-Prowse, they do have to get better in that communication. Just like one sitting, one going. Especially when we've got a lead. We don't need so many bodies going forward. A bit like Bertrand and Cedric, I know they're so important for the width, but maybe one of them just has to tuck back a little bit more when going forwards. Yeah. I think in the first half, Cedric had a header just outside the 6-yard box, and he's our right back.
Yeah.
So it is a bit strange, but the system, it's all about triangles. I love this. Like, it's all about triangles. Look at that.
Yeah, if you want to.
I mean, for people listening, Mike, so they can see it, whatever.
And if you want Mikey's piece of paper, go down to the
piece of paper with my horrible.
Go look at our Twitter; it'll be on there.
Will it? Okay, apparently it'll be on the Twitter. Just look, best place if you do want to see our mugs on the and the Mikey's drawings, then have a look on the YouTube. They're all on there to go and have a look.
Mugs.
At videos.
Really?
Yeah,
I don't have my Southampton mug. I was going to make a joke.
From Jamie.
I don't have it on
there. Okay.
I've got a pot of chewing gum.
All right, let's get back to
the mug I get.
What I'm going to see here, because obviously, as Mikey so brilliantly described in the press conference summary, we've got Vestergaard that's most likely going to be out. We've got Cedric that's out, and we've also got last player. Who was the last player out? Shane Long's out as well.
How can you
what lineups do we reckon we're going to see, and what would you want to see if you know? Would you want to see Gunn back, or would you like to see McCarthy stick with it?
Shall we do another 11? Like the Huddersfield game, we did our own individual 11s and how many we get right. Shall we do that?
Yeah. I don't have paper.
Do you not have any paper?
No, I've got an iPad. I've got an iPad. I forgot I've got all this technology I can use.
Yeah. Okay. Right.
We pausing the podcast.
No, we're not. We're carrying on.
Right.
Well, we're gonna fill this in sometime. We're gonna fill it in with something.
Just gonna fill because So everyone, while you can fill out, you can see it. You can have a go yourself. Basically, in the reaction podcast, first thing we'll do, we'll have a look at the position, see if we got it right. Obviously, depending on the game, will also be interesting on how we actually react. But we'll have a little look into it. We do score predictions. We'll have a look at lineup predictions as well. We did it for the last FA Cup game, so it's a nice little tradition to go. So yeah, are you go? I'm trying to fill here, guys. Are you all ready, or you can go?
Who are you going to put in goal? Who are you going to put in goal? Simple position. Who are you going to put in goal?
McCarthy.
McCarthy. I'm sticking with McCarthy.
Sorry, are we doing who you want or who do you think?
I think predictions.
Yeah.
Because I think Angus Gunn will take up the position.
Yeah.
I think Gunn's going to start in goal. Yeah. Because I think it's like nice to rotate your goalie, give your goalie some game time, even if he doesn't have it. And Gunn came in for the last third round game. I think he came in for McCarthy did the Carabao Cup games earlier in the year, so I think there will be that rotation of keeper. I think Gunn will start in goal.
Yeah, fair play. Okay.
I know he didn't have a lot to do against Huddersfield, but
he still made He made two good saves. In all fairness. It's not like he did nothing. So the centre back partnership, who are we going to go for that?
Mike and Jack Stevens.
Yeah. Is it Jack Stevens is fit for this one, isn't he?
Yeah. Yes. I don't think you can drop Stevens.
No.
And Bednarek is fit again. So
yeah.
I think he's going to go Yoshi Stevens, because I think he's got a good enough experience in that position. I don't think he'll want to rush Bednarek back if he is still recovering from an injury. So yeah, I think Yoshida Stevens. God.
Got mine down in my toilet paper.
There you go. Yeah. Okay. Well, it works, doesn't it? Okay. So wait, is everyone else? So Tiz, have you done your centre back?
For me, it's Stevens and Bednarek. If Bednarek's fit, and because he didn't say his name in the press conference, I think he'll go Stevens and Bednarek as the centre back partnership.
Fair play. Mikey, have you done yours? Okay. Sorry, mate.
Bednarek as well. Yeah.
Okay, fair play. Right, left backs and right backs. I think Bertrand.
Yeah.
We don't have many. Well, I don't think he'll choose Vokins again.
I think because the experience of the Spurs attackers are much more dangerous than that of Huddersfield. No offence to Huddersfield, but Son's a lot more dangerous than
Alex
Steve Mounier and Alex Pritchard. So I think Bertrand will be in the left back position.
Watch that.
I don't know. They're in the Championship. Tottenham's in the Premier League. I think Bertrand's the. Who do you think, Jamie? Is Bertrand going to take that left back position?
In my lovely bit of paper here, I have written down Ryan Bertrand on the left hand side and Jan Valery on the right.
Oh, do you think Valerie's going to get a?
I think his mystery illness will be all right now. Like I said, he didn't mention Jan Valery in the press conference. Why not?
Good point. So right,
so
right back.
Yeah.
I think Ward-Prowse is going to fill in again. I don't think Valerie will. I don't think Valerie will be risked for it. I don't think. I think Mikey mentioned last episode they're not going to rush him back in case it causes more issues if he does actually have a real, serious illness. So I think Ward-Prowse will fill in at right back.
Danso's the man for me. I think Danso. I think Danso will play there because he played right back against Huddersfield. He didn't do a bad job. He did all right. He did what he had to do. So I think Danso's going to play right back.
Yeah, fair play. Okay, 2 centre back.
Mikey, what do you think?
I'm going to go Kane Ramsey. I think Kane Ramsey's going to start. Well, I want him to start, so I'm going to put him there.
In case Ralph's listening, you're going to give Ramsey the shout.
On FM, he's got to start.
Who is the central midfield partnership?
I've gone Romeo Højbjerg. Sorry, mate. Romeo Højbjerg.
Ooh.
Oh, I've gone exactly the same, Ollie. Yeah. Pierre-Emile Højbjerg and Oriol Romeu. Give JW a bit of a rest as he's played a lot of minutes so far this season.
Cheers, Mike. What are you going for?
I've done Ward-Prowse and Højbjerg. I can't see that changing.
Yeah, I'm in agreement with.
All right.
Mikey.
So we're going for the two number 10s to quote Ralph. What do you guys reckon? Jambo, kick us off.
I've gone for keep it the same. Stuart Armstrong and Nathan Redmond.
Fair play. Cheers, Mike. What do you reckon?
Honestly, Armstrong and Boufal.
Boufal haters.
Redmond might be rested, but I don't think you can drop Armstrong.
No.
So I think
I've gone for
I
Armstrong.
think Redmond, Boufal, and Gineppo are going to be the
I've gone for. Now I'm toying here, but I've gone Armstrong, Gineppo, just because he's played against Tottenham before, hasn't he? And he's done quite well.
They all have.
And I don't know. I think the fact that he got picked for the Tottenham game last time, and I think he was quite successful on the bench on a couple of occasions. So I think he might come in, and I'm not too sure about Redmond whether he'll get rested or they might try him up front like they've done previously. But I'm going Gineppo, Armstrong. Tiz, what do you reckon?
I'm going Redmond and Boufal on the wings for me. I think Armstrong had a good game and then he got dropped for the Huddersfield game. So I think I'm going to go for a similar thing and I'm going to go Boufal and Redmond.
Fair play. Right, okay, 2 up front. Jamie, kick us off.
I went with Michael Obafemi and Che Adams.
That's exactly what I went for.
Yes, Ollie, it's basically the same thing.
I know, we might as well share it.
I personally think I'd rather save Danny Ings for Liverpool, to be honest.
Yeah.
I personally think we can give Liverpool quite a good game. Not saying we're going to definitely win it, but I think we can have a good chance of at least getting a draw out of them, the form we're on at the moment. So I'd rather keep Danny Ings' fitness for that game and have Mo. No, Michael. I just put Mo because I've got Michael Obafemi initials. Michael Obafemi and Che Adams just to give them both a chance. And they have played up front together before and did quite well.
That's the Chelsea partnership, isn't it?
Against a top 6 opposition as well. So
there you go.
Could argue same ability level.
Yeah. Okay.
It's just top 6 big team. So I said you could argue.
Yeah. Mike, Tiz, who did you put up front?
I went with Adams and Ings.
Adams and Ings, fair play.
But in all fairness, I think Obafemi will probably start over Adams because he showed it at Palace that he could start. But my only thought is that he might need a rest. Long's going to need a rest, so I thought those two would be brought in for it.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, I'm exactly the same. One, for Danny Ings, you can't have back-to-back games that he doesn't start, so he's going to get thrown in there. And 2, Obafemi will struggle to play or at least start 2 games back-to-back within 3 or 4 days. So for me, it's Ings and Adams.
Fair play. Right. Okay. Well, we'll see what happens, and we might as well give score predictions while we're going at it. Is there replays or is it extra time and penalties?
No, it's a
No,
replay.
it's replays.
Okay.
Yeah.
So stupid.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go
Okay.
for a cheeky 1-0 Saints.
1-0 Saints. Nice.
Shea Adams goal scorer.
Oh. Okay. Fair play.
Oh.
Okay. Anyone else want to kick off with a prediction?
I'm going to do an Ollie special and go 1-1.
Yeah.
1-1.
Hang on.
Okay.
1-0.
I was gonna.
There's two reasons for this. One, I don't think we'll beat Spurs again. I think Mourinho will line up. And two, I would love to go to the replay because I haven't gone to the Tottenham Stadium.
That's so true.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be 2-2. I think it will be a
I'll
draw
go
just
for
to
Mikey.
our detriment, just because I think both teams won't want to overexert themselves, but then again won't really want to go for a replay. I think it'll be quite an open game. It has been quite good at St Mary's, but I think Mourinho won't want to lose 3 times in a row. Spurs won't want to lose 3 times down the road at St Mary's, so I think he will pull out the stops, and it might. Yeah, I think it'll be a good game, but I don't think we will come out with a win. I think it'll be a draw in my head. So yeah, there we go. Predictions. Had a little look at tactics. We've got our 11 as well. So if you're listening, write down your 11 that you reckon it's going to be. We'll have a look at it Saturday night and see how close we are and see what actually happens. So anyone else got anything to add before we kind of wrap up?
What do you think of the game? What's going to happen in the game? How do you think Tottenham are going to set up? Because Mourinho's a good cup team, a cup size. I feel like these previews, we always answer loads of the questions, go for our prediction, and then it's sort of about what's your main concern going into this game?
What was their last lineup that they've done previously in the league, just so I can get an idea of what.
I'll have a quick
how
look.
they are lined
So
up.
they beat Norwich 2-1. Apparently they're quite lucky. I think Son
Yeah.
Son scored late on to give them the victory against the Premier League.
Oh yeah, I've seen the highlights. But they've got.
Once again, they're going to be without Kane as well, which will certainly help us because he loves to score against us. Norwich versus Tottenham. So
with Son, Ali, and Lamella playing the 4-2-3-1, those three in attack, it seems quite. They are quite light on the ground, aren't they? It's getting to that point now where a lot of injuries coming in, a lot of tired players. So yeah, I don't think Mourinho's going to go light. But again, there are still players there that are dangerous. I'm not too worried about Lamella, but definitely Ali again got another goal. Son is a dangerous player, and Moura I don't think would be as effective up front as obviously Harry Kane, but he is still going to be a danger. So it will be interesting to see what will happen there. But yeah, those are the kind of main danger there. Possibly Sessegnon might be a one that slightly inexperienced and gave away a penalty, I believe, on the weekend. So, not weekend, last game week. So, yeah, it might be a little bit low on confidence, might be a possible area to exploit. So that's me kind of looking at the Tottenham game. Is anyone there? Is there anyone in that particular side that you think could be a cause for concern?
Gazzaniga if he comes back in. But in all seriousness, I look at the match statistics against Norwich, and they've only just edged possession. They've only just edged the shots and shots on target. They've not dominated the team that's bottom of the league. Yes, Norwich came off a good result against Bournemouth, and that will give them a lot of hope. But they've played a really strong side against Norwich, and they only came out with a sneaky 2-1 victory. So if we play a similar Tottenham side, which are quite tired, because I look at their bench for that game, they had Davinson Sanchez on the bench, Dyer, Ericsson and Dombele, and none of those players were that effective when they played against us at St Mary's. So if we play the team that I think we'll play, I think we've got a really good chance of getting a positive result, especially because we've got a good record at St Mary's against them. We've beat Crystal Palace 3 times in a row, and now we've beaten Tottenham twice at a row in our place. So it does show that we can do it back to back to back. So why not go for, as much as I'm going to say 1-1, because Mourinho's a cup specialist and he needs a trophy at Tottenham because it's not going that well for him at the moment. I think there's a definite chance that we could win. Yeah,
fair play. Any other things that you can... concern you?
Valerie's had a viral infection, which sounds horrible. So
What again?
That's been out for a while.
Another one. It's only just recovered.
Yeah, he just got over that one.
I'll stop being.
Okay, right. You two calm down, Jamie.
Well, I'm always very scared of Jose Mourinho when he's playing against any side that I support. Brackets only Southampton. So I don't know. I'm wary of it. Like I said, I've said this throughout the whole podcast. I don't know. I think we can get a cheeky dub Like their strikers are not in any sort of form at all right now. So let's get going.
But they don't have a striker at the moment, so they're struggling. That's their
Well, they do
problem.
have strikers, but it's not in good form. Like
No.
Lumetta's a striker technically.
They've got Dele
Okay,
Alli.
well,
Lucas is basically a striker.
no, fair play.
So they can be compared to the strikers, so they definitely have some sort of form of striker, Mikey.
Okay.
Not a striker, not a striker, are they?
Oh, striker.
False
That's-
nine. They might not be playing a striker
I'm pretty
still.
sure Ryan Sessegnon can play
Oh,
striker, mate.
Could be
Oh.
playing an
Oh,
attack.
All
my
over the place.
days.
Play left
Right.
back,
Let's
left
not
back.
do this.
Sessegnon a left back, mate.
Right,
And
right,
left
analysis over. Anything else to add before we wrap up? Anyone else got anything that they want to mention before?
Fantasy football. How are you all doing?
I don't
On
I don't want to talk
fantasy
about it.
football.
Go wages up.
I can do it quickly. I went down, so I don't really want to talk about it.
I only got 18 points, so I don't know why I brought it up. To be honest.
21.
I got 33. That's not bad.
So I've done the worst out of anyone, and I'm the one that brought it up. Brilliant.
36. Yeah, I got 36. I got
And I've
Pope
got
got.
Mane to play tonight as well, so you know that's.
I got
Yeah,
Mane
West
captain
Ham's
to
got,
play
they,
tonight,
let's
actually.
say
That's probably
Liverpool's still got 2 games to play. To be fair,
yeah, that's true.
From
Ricardo
West Ham.
Pereira got 12. Henderson got 11 for me. Abraham
Jack-
5. And
Yeah.
Captain Jamie Vardy got himself broken. So you know, it's.
Yeah.
I had Jack Stevens on my bench and he got 11 points, so that's quite sad.
I had Son and he got 7.
Pope, Pereira, and De Bruyne were the highlights for me. Pope with 10, like you said, Pereira with 12, and De Bruyne got 7. Apart from that, all 2s and 1s, so not great. But I have got Captain Mane tonight, so we'll see how that plays out.
I
So
might take Maddison out. I'll take Maddison and Mount out because those two are too overrated.
yeah, in the league, how are you looking? Whereabouts are you guys?
I'm not.
even going to
That's
look.
what I'm doing.
I'm not looking. I refuse. I brought it up. I regret bringing it up, and I've not even gone on my phone to check it. To be honest with
I've
you.
gone up. I'm 83rd. Go on.
83rd, nice. I'm
I'll have a look at
where am I at the
Tinder.
moment? I'm 5th, so I was like I was 3rd at one point. I've gone down to 5th. So it's not great.
You're only 86th.
Oh,
You're getting
I do.
me.
I've got 3 Liverpool players to play, so maybe, just maybe.
You're
I
definitely
can-
overtaking.
I've gone down to 99th.
99. Well, you're still double figures, not
Still
triple.
double
so
figures, mate.
there's a positive in that. Robin Tim, shout out to him. He's been pretty dominant so far as top of the league. So 1,422 points. Put that in perspective. I'm 5th, and I got
And
1,000.
he's still got triple captain Mane to play as well. 2 games.
I don't know how serious he's taking it, but in 123rd, which is bottom, is Ben Morehouse.
Right.
In his team at the moment, he's currently got an injured Jan Valery, an injured Felipe Anderson, and an injured John McGinn.
He's
So-
definitely forgot the password, hasn't he?
I think he's
Right.
definitely forgotten that password.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll check into that
Not
next
trying
week.
anymore. He's had Che Adams up
Yeah.
for like the last 10 weeks as well.
Before
as
we-
captain, so
Before we sign off, Tiz, can you give us the answer to the question, or maybe Jamie can, considering Google it?
no, he can't remember.
I actually didn't Google it.
What was
Did
the
you?
question again?
I used
It was in 2005 when we played Tottenham in a 1-0 victory. Who are the 3 English players
I know.
outfield?
I can remember one.
You remember one, can
The
you?
one being Peter Crouch.
That is
And,
correct.
Oh, nice.
that
Jamie
time
Redknapp?
guy-
Did
Yes,
Red-
that is
Jamie
correct. Jamie Redknapp was playing, but who's the final one? Who's the
Uh,
final
Crummett.
one? No.
Thinking about.
I
Think-
don't know.
God, there was 3 Saints players who are English playing outfield.
Yes.
That's the question. Yes.
Well,
Crumbing.
it'll be
Crouch.
Dominic Vaughan will be one of the centre backs. So it won't
BT? Was
really-
BT playing at that time? Or was that
No,
that's-
BT.
Dodd.
No, it wasn't Jason Dodd either.
put us out of our misery?
Wait.
Jamie's
Nah,
just
do that.
searching up. Give him a sec.
Hang on a second.
Come
Oh,
on,
that's
guys.
2004.
Time's ticking away. Come on,
Five.
just do it.
4, 3.
It was. Yeah. Grealish.
Graham
Graham
Lasso.
Lasso.
He's done it again. Oh my god.
No, yeah.
Oh, for
Oh,
goodness
no.
sake.
Oh.
Hello, Twitter, because I know you're watching, because you're going to be on there next week, this week.
Wait, so Tiz round it up quickly before.
dear.
Right, go on. So
Peter Crouch, Jamie Redknapp, and Graham Lasso. Well, the English.
Oh, well, can we end it on?
Right English surname, is it?
Can we end it? Oh God, right, Brexit. Before we end it on that, God. Oh, right, compose yourself. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you for the Spurs aftermath. We'll react straight after it and give our opinions on it. We'll also have a look at our predictions and our lineups to see how it was. Before you go, though, make sure you check out the socials. That's where it's all happening. If you want to get in questions or reactions for the next podcast, it's through Instagram. Tiers, give them the details.
Saints Prime on the Instagram. As soon as the full-time whistle blows, the Instagram story will have your reactions. Put them in there. And then on the Wednesdays when we record, because there's not a midweek fixture this week, I'll put the questions. You can put your questions in the question box and we'll read them out on the Thursday's recording.
With a shout out as well. Make sure you're following the Twitter as well. It's all popping off there. We've got transfers. All the different updates and things on there. Mini clips as well. I've got a shout out to Tiz who's releasing the mini clips of the episode. So if you want to see the kind of highlights of the episodes, go and have a look at the mini clips because they're all on there. Probably the So one's probably going to be on there soon. So that's worth a follow just to see when that comes out. Also, make sure you stick notifications on as soon as the podcast does go live. Basically the summary of what's happening in that episode will go on the Twitter. You get links to your favourite podcasting platform so you can listen to it straight away. So yeah, thank you very much for listening. It's been a good fun. It's been me, Ollie. I've also been joined by
Harry. Got that in
Jamie
quickly.
Allen.
So I didn't get it to read.
Thank you. Okay. See you for the Spurs one. See you next time. Keep the faith. Up the Saints.